OTs use meaningful activities, also known as occupations or life roles, to treat individuals who experience difficulties or disabilities. Meaningful activities are not the same for everyone. Your age, gender, culture, religion, personality, and environment are some of the factors that can play a role to establish your life roles. Working on pencil grip is important to a 6-year-old who is learning to write for the first time, just as regaining the ability to write is important to a 60-year-old who had a stroke. But the life roles of an adolescent can be different from these. Even neurotypical teenagers find the transformation from childhood to adulthood difficult, as they search for their own identity in the midst of raging hormones and embarrassing physical changes. Their intellect changes from a child's concrete thinking of what is to an adult's abstract thinking of what might be. They see possibilities and form opinions, but lack life experience, and can be seen as egocentric, yet insecure. Teenagers often behave in extreme ways in an attempt to validate their newly found independent way of thinking, and this can often lead to conflict, as their quest to differentiate themselves is seen as an attitude problem by some. The DSM-5 classification of intellectual disability, which is the diagnosis most of our learners have, tells us that the challenge is even bigger for our teenagers than for a typical teenager. They struggle with reasoning, problem solving, planning, abstract thinking, judgment, and learning. They also have difficulty with adaptive functioning, which is the skills we need to live in an independent and responsible manner. This is where OT can make a difference. Most teachers complain about the same things. The learners are rude and have no respect. They don't listen. They talk back and they talk all the time. And even though this kind of behavior is socially unacceptable, when we regard their diagnosis and their life roles as teenagers, it becomes clear that there might be more to the picture than deliberate defiance. Beneath their behavior, there is a feeling that was born from a need that wasn't met. And because we address the behavior without supporting and meeting the need, we might be aggravating the problem because we are treating only the symptom and not the cause. So how do we help them? We start at the right place, their needs and their life roles. Teenagers need to feel that they matter too. They need to feel safe and that they can trust us and that we are genuinely kind, not just nice. They want to participate without being humiliated. They want to be accepted, but they feel that they are not good enough. They want you to support them, but they want to make their own decisions. They want you to believe in them and trust them, even though they have no faith in themselves. They want someone to blame when they fail, who will love them regardless. They cannot look up to us when we are constantly putting them down. OTs don't know how to teach. We enable and empower. For us, doing is always better than telling. And starting with a meaningful activity that are familiar to them and fun ensures that you are off to a good start. Recreation and social interaction are important life roles for teenagers, since this allows them to simulate real life and try out different versions of themselves in a familiar setting. This is also known as pretend play. While we play and have fun, the therapist just change one thing at a time and move the target just a little bit further to ensure the challenge stays within reach. But little by little, we cover a lot of ground without getting discouraged or overwhelmed. And soon, what seemed impossible at the start is within reach. We keep teenagers committed by using meaningful activities that they enjoy and to master the skills that they dread. You know, the spoonful of sugar? Many of life's biggest problems has been solved on the golf course, during a game of chess, or while having a cup of tea. Why should it be any different for teenagers? So what I need to do, I need to remember what it was like to be a teenager. And even then, I still have no idea what these kids are going through, because I was a typical teenager and they are everything but. I need to be patient and calm because a journey takes time and can travel through good weather and storms. When I need to be an anchor to make them feel secure without restraining them. I need to remember that every one of us is different and sensory experiences are perceived differently and can change our level of awareness to be alert and attentive, calm and relaxed, or not feeling well at all. The same thing that you consider as fun and love to do, which makes you feel excited and alive, drives me crazy with frustration and leaves another crying and scared, not to even mention the one who fell asleep in the corner. Everyone's idea of fun is different, as it should be. Occupational therapy is not a one-size-fits-all approach and needs to support every individual to reach a calm, alert space to ensure them to function optimally and apply that in the classroom setting as well. So I don't need a lot of expensive stuff. I have the theory and ideas in my head. There is cupboards full of activities and games the school already own, and my heart is breaking because the fun inside can't be shared. All I need is adequate and appropriate safe space that was intentionally created and can be controlled to accommodate unique learners with contrasting needs to feel safe enough to dream, smile, and just take a moment to become the best version of themselves by experiencing the fleeting feeling of success that they often don't experience with academic subjects. So I need space. What type of space? A space that was intentionally created with occupational therapy in mind, big enough to be multifunctional and accommodate active participation in different approaches and activities, but not too big as to lose the controlled environment and sensory input, and neglect the safety and disregard the learner's privacy. The space needs to accommodate alerting activities that are generally new, fast-paced, unpredictable, fairly intense, complex and highly demanding. For example, a foosball game, or dancing, or rapping, video games, or painting a graffiti wall, and many more, as well as calming activities that are generally more familiar, slow-paced, predictable, not very intense. Simple activities with a low demand, like drawing pencil sketches or reading a book while sitting in a secluded garden, listening to nature. So Mr. van Tonder indicated that the PT hall may be used as an intervention area. This is a plausible option, however it presents with various challenges. Number one, the PT hall was intended for physical training and are not appropriate and adequate for occupational therapy or medical intervention in its current state. Upgrading the PT hall to an intervention space leaves the PSW educators without a physical education space. Number three, the PT hall is a health and safety risk at the moment. It doesn't have sufficient ventilation. Various windows are broken or too high to close, allowing dust to accumulate very quickly with no airflow. And temperature regulation is very hard. Number five, the electricity is faulty as the lights in one of the smaller rooms caused a short the first time it was used and haven't been fixed since. The roof is leaking water and causes the floor to crumble and disintegrate. The roof is too high to be utilized for suspension swings and the walls too far apart to install I-beams. The ceiling was not maintained and has various holes and shows signs of collapse, and there is only one entrance and exit with no fire escape route. So The initial idea was that the PT hall should be upgraded to an intervention space that is multifunctional and could be utilized by all 7 of the members in the multidisciplinary team. The idea was to address multiple learning barriers, including communication, social welfare, socio-emotional well-being, etc. For this, we needed a lot of space. However, recently some of the multidisciplinary team members, whose therapeutic approaches are more stationary in nature, indicated that they are satisfied and don't need access to multi-purpose intervention areas. This came as a welcome relief and solved quite a few challenges. If only occupational therapy needs to be accommodated, the space that needs to be renovated becomes significantly less. After careful review and consultation with the architect and construction project manager, the conclusion that the structure, which is currently the PT Hall ablution and not utilized for this purpose anymore, could serve in all the OT's needs, should it be renovated, upgraded, and refurbished. Upgrading the rest of the PT Hall would be unnecessary and too costly for the use of only one person. The main PT Hall could remain the responsibility of the PSW staff to be utilized and managed as before, solving their problem of access as well. In order to make the current ablution block an appropriate and adequate intervention area for occupational therapy, the following areas need to be renovated and upgraded. All the current windows need to be replaced with new and larger windows with easy access to improve ventilation, lighting, and temperature control. Additional doorways that accommodate wider access must be included to ensure safe access, ventilation, a fire escape, temperature control, and sufficient lighting. The floors are covered with bathroom tiles that are slippery and uneven, and they need to be replaced with a non-slip surface to eliminate the safety risk. The walls are covered with bathroom tiles that are inappropriate for an intervention area and needs to be removed to improve the acoustics and temperature control. The internal walls needs to be broken down and the walls needs to be plastered and painted to allow multi-dimensional and multi-purpose activities. The ceiling is a strong concrete slab and provides adequate support for suspension frames needed in sensory integration intervention. However, it needs to be painted and the electricity needs to be upgraded to accommodate adequate wall plugs, and the light fittings need to be changed to ensure better visibility. The plumbing needs to be reviewed and upgraded to accommodate a single renovated toilet and basin. Air conditioning needs to be included to improve the air quality, ventilation, and temperature control. A transparent office of glass or perspex walls could be included in one corner to serve as an office and assessment area. It is important that this cubicle is soundproof to ensure privacy that allows one-way visibility, and this can be attained by installing one-way stickers. Telephone lines and internet cables need to be included to maintain communication lines, and security gates and locks are necessary to ensure safety. A kitchenette with access to running water and a cleaning station to sanitize tools and equipment, as well as storage facilities, should be included. And the corridor between the two bathrooms will be upgraded into a sensory garden and emotional regulation area where a calm alert state can be facilitated after an emotional meltdown. This renovating project could solve a lot of the available space dilemmas, but it will be costly and require funding. Since the best interest of our learners are our shared priority, I would like us to work together to find a workable solution and time frame. I got quotes from the contractors who indicated that an amount of 2,200 Rand per square meter should be considered. I know that Rome wasn't built in a day, but if they did not make a start somewhere, Rome would not have existed today. All I ask is that you buy into the benefit that appropriate occupational therapy services can have for our learners, and that you commit to finding a solution with me to create a space where appropriate intervention can be delivered. This is my suggestion of a possible and viable solution, but I am open to other workable possibilities and suggestions. I humbly ask that the SGB review this request and take it under serious consideration to see how we can meet each other in the middle. Appropriate and adequate intervention space is a minimum requirement of infrastructure for therapeutic intervention in LSEN schools, as set out in the South African Schools Act and SIAS policy. And should the SGB reject this proposal as a whole, I humbly request a counter-proposal and timeline at the next SGB meeting to address the lack of appropriate and adequate intervention space. Thank you for your time.